podcast brought to you by The Lines and the Play Picks, as always, coming to you from Oakland, California. Josh Lander, joined by my counterpart on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer, holding it down. Nate, we had a pretty cool, interesting, fun, crazy weekend of NBA hoops amidst all the NFL action. I know we've got plenty to talk about for this Monday slate, January 11th. Let's not waste any time, get right into it.
Yeah, we have the Knicks plus 4.5 at Hornets, Grizzlies plus 1 at Cavs. We have Bucks minus 8.5 at Magic, Suns minus 6.5 at Wizards. Russell Westbrook is out. Sixers plus 6.5 at Hawks. They're still dealing with their COVID outbreaks, so they're going to be shorthanded. The Pelicans plus 4 at the shorthanded Mavericks, but Kristaps Porzingis might debut tonight. Raptors plus 5 at Blazers, and finally the Pacers minus 5, and that it keeps climbing at the Kings. So, Josh, that being said, what is your best bet tonight?
Tonight, I'll go ahead and start on the West Coast, where we've got Toronto in Portland. Toronto's coming off a back-to-back. They just lost to the Warriors in Golden State, put a lot of effort in coming back down, but originally about 20 points at one point. So I'm not expecting much from them. They don't even have a ton of player props available right now because we're not exactly sure who's going to sit. But I will say I like Portland either way. I like the 4 points. I like the over a lot at about 232. So I'm definitely taking both of those, potentially some 3-point props as well. That's really where I'm looking, is in that 3-point range. I think pace of play for both teams is very high. Just a couple of numbers. They're 2 and 3 in terms of 3-pointers made per game, 1 and 2 in terms of the percentage of their points that they score on 3-pointers. Both top 10 in pace, both bottom 10 in defensive rating. And I think Toronto's even worse than Portland on defense at guarding the 3. So, expect a lot of points from the guards on Portland. And I think that'll be enough to cover 4 points for the Blazers.
You're showing your time zone right now because, it was 2:32 probably when you checked out. But after the Raptors only scored 105 against the Warriors, now we're at 230.5. People are sleeping on that offense a little bit, really sleeping on the Warriors' defense. When we know the Blazers don't play a lick of defense, and they're scoring 122 their last 3 games. The Raptors are 29th in defensive rating during that span. You mentioned it. Both teams playing with a lot of pace. The Raptors have figured out that they have to play through their guards this year, right? They have no low post presence. They're playing through their guards and having Boucher and Siakam attack off the wings, and that's leading to a lot of high-scoring totals. So I think the over there is a really confident bet. I like where your head's at. Another thing I feel pretty confident about is the Magic in a tailspin after their initial hot start. They had that little non-bubble Magic, but now with the Fultz injury, they're about dead last in offensive rating their last 3 games. They've scored under 100 in 4 of their last 6, and I don't see any way they keep pace with the Bucks, who we know lead the league in scoring and have beaten the Magic. Covered in 5 of their last 7 against the Magic, all of those double-digit spreads. I think they cover what started as -8 and is climbing a little bit. So get your bets in early there on the Bucks.
Yeah, I like it. I like the mental big brother attitude that the Bucks bring to the Magic when they play them in the 1-8 matchup recently or anytime during the regular season. They usually take care of business there, so I'm with that. The loss of Fultz is probably bigger than even people realize with how well he was playing on that team. So their offense is super stagnant. I'll go ahead and keep it in terms of a team I like in the Eastern Conference, the Pacers. I've been sort of a fan of them for the beginning part of this season, feeling they're getting undervalued, which continued as the spread against sacks started at 2 points, where I definitely already grabbed it, just so you know. But if you can get it at this point, it's about 5.5. I'm still with it. On the road, Indy overperforms. They're 2-0 against the spread this year. They've won 6 of their last 7 versus Sacramento specifically. And Sacramento is also similarly to the Magic, I think the West Coast version of the tailspin that we're seeing. After a decent start, they've been absolutely putrid on defense. This season, at home, they're already 1-3 when they're the underdog at home. They've got a couple guys questionable, Healed and home. So, the lack of defense there and the inability to guard anybody. I like Indiana a lot there, and I'm actually liking Malcolm Brogdon to continue to put up the numbers that he's putting up. If you can get his props on DraftKings right now, 21.5 points, go ahead and take the over there. I think that the guard play on the Kings in terms of guarding the perimeter, et cetera, has been very, very bad. And if Heel doesn't play, we've got another body off for the Kings. So I don't know. Do you see anything there in the Pacers-Kings game? Or are you staying
Yeah,
away?
I think definitely watch De'Aaron Fox status. I know he's been playing through that hamstring issue, but if you think he's in any way limited, then yeah, the Brogdon props make a lot of sense. The Kings, I'm just not really sure what to make of them right now with the infighting. You know, they got blown out, then they win a pretty decisive game. I'm kind of staying away from that line, especially as it grows with the Pacers. But looking at another game and a total that I also really like, Pelicans Mavs at 215.5. That's extremely low. It's kind of based on their early season output where the Mavs were struggling to score and the Pelicans were top 3 in defense. Both have regressed towards the mean. The Mavs offense has actually really taken off despite their COVID limitations as Luka kind of plays with more space. Tim Hardaway is just firing away. I think that also the absence of Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Richardson leaves them completely exposed to the Brandon Ingram-led Pelicans. So I think both teams score with ease in this matchup, and I think my most confident thing is the over. I would also consider taking the Pels on the money line since this seems like pretty much a toss-up, since we really don't know how teams are going to respond when they're playing with 8 or 9 players after these COVID outbreaks. I mean, we saw the Nets go, surprise the Sixers and then the next night turn around and lose to the freaking Grizzlies. So it really could go either way, but I think over I'm extremely confident in.
No, I'm with it. I would consider that Dallas has, as you said, regressed actually upwards in defense and a little bit upwards in offense, and then the inverse can be said for the Pelicans, who have shown a little bit of regression on defense, as you said. One team that continues to show regression on defense that I'll just bring up in my quick hits, Nate, the Washington Wizards. They are, as you said, without Russell Westbrook tonight. I'm still liking Phoenix a lot in that game. As we said, I think we can get that about 5.5 points. And as far as an over-under goes at 229.5, I would consider the under there. Phoenix's pace of play is incredibly slow, as we continue to talk about. And no Russell Westbrook not only means obviously one less potential triple-double for them, for the Wizards, it also means that their pace of play is likely to slow down a bit as well, even with Ish Smith in there for Russ Westbrook. So that's my quick hit for tonight, is taking the under on the Wizards, Phoenix Suns, and then also if you like the Suns at 5.5, I'm going to grab them.
Yep. And yeah, then from a DFS perspective, Westbrook out. Just note that Ish Smith seems to have passed Raul Neto as their preferred option, even if Neto starts. So grab him at value. The Sixers still offering massive value with Seth Curry, Tobias Harris out. Ben Simmons is questionable. Embiid expected to return tonight, but I think their backcourt, and Shake Milton out, so their backcourt definitely still going to be led by the rookie Tyrese Maxey. You can pretty much lock him in as a value play tonight. Also looking at shorthanded Dallas again. Yeah, Trey Burke is basically their only healthy guard outside of Luka Doncic, so he's also getting serious value, and he can fill it up when given the opportunity. So, yeah, that's all we have here.
Both of those guys will be in my lineup tonight, Nate. I don't know if Maxey will be putting up another 39-piece, but that kid is definitely going to have the ball in his hands all game, so I love that.
Yeah, well, we'll see who comes out on top in our head-to-head. Obviously, we're going to have shares of Maxey, and we'll see what we build around it.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Happy betting tonight.